Hello and welcome to another episode of Loose Canon. We are back again at the end of the season. This time it's actually 2 days before the new season. Last time we did it like a couple weeks before for a seasonal lore review. This is the deep lore review. And like I said, about 3 months ago, we wanted to bring someone else in. So we brought in Ellimist from the Guardians. I'm sorry. I should have asked that as well. Is it Guardian? Because your Twitter is
Guardians of
Guardians.
Lore.
Yeah, your Twitter is Guardians like underscore lore, and it. My
Yeah.
brain is like Guardians lore. That's how I find them, and I'm like, wait, no, wait, what's the show's name?
It's Guardians of Lore.
Awesome. So why don't you before we get started, why don't you tell us about your show a little bit?
Yeah, so Guardians of Lore is it basically a Destiny lore book club podcast. We're available on as many platforms as I was able to figure out.
Hmm.
Um, so like all the major ones, Spotify, Apple, Google. Um, and every week we dive into a lore piece and we look at it from the average person's perspective.
Hmm.
That's really cool.
That's
Yeah.
that's very similar to what we do. We're just two guys. We like talking lore. We just like hanging out.
That's pretty much what it is for me as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you don't have anything more to say about it, then Rhino, would you like to get started with the lore card for this week?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, brought to you from the Destiny Armory Defined, our weekly lore card.
Yeah, so we've actually covered this one
Oh, did we?
before. Yeah, but it was a little bit more relevant because we have some upcoming changes to look forward to and a really neat thing that this gun is going to do.
It's a really
Um,
interesting mechanical uh, development that they were able to
yes.
do this. Imagine, if you will, a gun that has a switch that then lets you use it as a sword.
I'm so looking forward to it.
I know. It's going to be pretty cool, man. I'm excited. So I kind of revised this lore card. It's an exotic
Hmm.
from D1 even, but um, I got a little bit more intricate intricate into the findings and kind of brought some stuff a little bit more relevant to light. It doesn't have a whole lot to unpack about it. I think part of it is the mystery and the elegance of the gun has kind of been what was so cool about the gun in the first place. Because I don't think I used it a whole lot over its existence. Um, it was cool in D1 when you could use it to basically never run out of grenades as a Titan for a
How,
while there.
how did you manage that?
Well, I think there was some way that you could get it to stack with another exotic at the time. Maybe it
Oh,
was, yeah, maybe it was what was that thing? The purple arms that you could get as a Titan.
no
The
backup
No
plans?
backup plans.
Yeah, I think that was the one maybe that did it at the time. I just remember when I would play as a Titan in D1, all I ever did was shoulder charge people and then use that combo. Those are the two things that I did as a Titan in D1. I don't even play any other characters now, just Hunter. But every now and then I'll dip on a Titan just to have some fun. Um, anyway, to get into the lore, it's Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo. That gun's been around for a while, and it's a very pretty gun. It's got this huge sword-looking implement bolted to the front of it, and I think that's probably been something that people have been asking for since its inception. Is can we use that, you know, uh, as a weapon,
Hmm.
to poke at our enemies?
I was
So
never a fan of it. There, it, we have melee abilities. And when they're like,
yeah,
hey, what if we use this as a melee? I'm like, fuck no.
it, yeah. Well, I think now that we have glaives and it can kind of exist in that space, so it's really
Yeah.
cool as a concept now. But you're right. Back in D1, it would have been weird. It would have been really strange. Um, I don't even know how they could have ever done it
And
back then.
I think it's more of just the fact that it would have been a custom melee
Mm-hmm.
specifically
Yeah,
for that weapon.
yeah.
Like that would have been
You'd have
cool.
to you'd have to build a whole new mechanic in game just around that one weapon or something.
Right.
Well, all right, so let's get into it. So Monte Carlo, the reason the gun is named Monte Carlo is because of this equation. It's a mathematical equation. It's called the Monte Carlo method.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's the name of the perk on the gun too. So the Monte Carlo method is a technique in which a large quantity of randomly generated numbers are studied using a probabilistic model to find an approximate solution to a numerical problem that would otherwise be too difficult to solve. So it's basically like just shooting 1,000 dice at something until you get the roll that's kind of close to the solution over and over and over, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so the reason why it's the Monte Carlo method is because they took that idea of chance as a mathematics standard to they took that opportunity to name it after a famous casino, and the casino is the Monte Carlo Casino. So it's kind of funny that a mathematical equation could be named after a casino, but that's what happened here. So the Monte Carlo method is a statistical technique. Um, it's used to approximate and simulate complex mathematical problems that involve uncertainty or randomness. So the Monte Carlo method can be basically boiled down to random sampling and statistical analysis to generate a large number of potential outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
which are then used to estimate the probability of various events or to perform numerical calculations. And there's all kinds of graphs that can simplify and explain that a little bit better. But I guess to summarize, it's just a way to throw a ton of randomly generated numbers at an equation that would be really complex and difficult to figure out on your own. So as long as you can get to an approximate value that's close enough to the answer, that gives you a better starting point than just, going through this elaborate equation and spending, months just to get back to where you need to be, I guess is the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So the name Monte Carlo is derived from the famous casino, I said, and it reflects the method's reliance on random chance because, gambling, chance, all that thing. The Monte Carlo Casino is an iconic location where several spy movies were filmed. And so that's relevant because in D1, we had ornaments that this was before we even really had like a fleshed out Monte Carlo method perk on the gun that was explained to us. And
Mm-hmm.
so at the time, we had these little ornaments for the gun that popped up, and one of them was called Super Spy, and the other one was called Royal Flush. And
Hmm.
that really kicked it off for me early in D1, which it really explained what the heck the gun was. And so if you look at the weapon as a whole, it's got like this really elegant, like extravagant, nice, pretty aesthetic to it. And I guess that kind of mirrors the Monte Carlo casino in a way because it's very like modern inside, but it's born from this like extravagant, elegant, old, feel. Uh, anyway, so the Monte Carlo casino is in the French Riviera, and it's really this symbol of opulence and extravagance. It attracts visitors from around the world. It's been an iconic establishment forever, and it's been featured in numerous spy movies. And so that's why those little ornaments were relevant. Over the years, the Monte Carlo Casino has provided a glamorous backdrop to several spy movies, capturing the essence and intrigue of danger associated with espionage. And so that right there is interesting because in D2 we got a lore entry that was thrown onto the gun. And it's really cool if you get time, it's a really cool little lore entry. And it basically explains how a particular guardian went down into an abandoned area that turned out to be somewhat of like a casino area. And he found this weapon that was glassed in a glassed case,
Mm-hmm.
and basically stole it. And he had a partner that went with him down there, but under mysterious circumstances,
Yeah.
the partner didn't make it back with
Hey
the
man, things
loot that
happen.
they had grabbed. Yeah. So that's a good one. And so that kind of leans into that whole spy movie, trope that you've heard
Yeah.
about. And then I'll just list off real quick the movies that the Monte Carlo Casino has been in. So in 1983, there was Never Say Never with Sean Connery as James Bond, shaken, not stirred, that whole
Hmm.
iconic scene. And then in GoldenEye in 95, it was Pierce Brosnan's 007. Um, Ocean's 12 used the casino. It has a really cool backdrop, and it's almost a throwaway scene, but the scene itself was really kind of a pivotal point in that movie. And then more modern times, Casino Royale with James Bond as Daniel Craig. And
Hmm.
then a throwback to like one of the earliest ones was The Red Shoes, which is a 1948 spy thriller. And it's pretty cool. It's very dated. Um, but I guess beyond the cinematic fame for the Monte Carlo, just overall, it continues to attract a lot of visitors and people to the casino just because of its iconic status over the years. And it's really kind of like this model for extravagance and like just it's got beautiful views and world renowned restaurants. It's got Michelin star restaurants in it, and
Hmm.
so it's always been kind of like the backdrop for world uh, villainous spy scene type of environmental uh, folklore, I guess is what you'd call it.
Hmm.
So anyway, Monte Carlo, and it's got this huge, um, you know, dagger on the front, and we even have new ornaments that went with the gun now. And one in particular that I pointed out is an ornament called "What If."
Hmm.
And if you've seen this ornament from Monte Carlo, it's got a massive survival knife bolted to the front of the gun in place of what's on the Monte Carlo, and the ornament is called "What If," and so that was very much a little Easter egg or a little foreshadowing for Bungie because we've all said it over the years. What if you could use Monte Carlo as a stabby stab gun?
That's
And here we
that's
go.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So.
Monte Carlo was actually my first exotic weapon. I got it. I got it as a strike drop in D1, so I used that
No
for quite a
kidding.
little bit.
No kidding.
when it when it
While
came to when it
oh, go
came to
on.
D2, I specifically hunted for it because in Season of Undying, I wanted a pure like melee build for my Titan.
Hmm.
So I just ran around shoulder charging,
Yeah,
and
you
then
you needed it.
yeah, like
So
it was the best.
speaking on the topic of Monte Carlo, next season we do have its catalyst coming, and so I thought, just to kick things off, we can. Oh, damn it! I thought I got the image, but I didn't. I clipped it a second early. Um.
Oh,
Uh.
the little shot of it being used.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no. The the fuck is it called? The thing.
The the the
The on
moment
the
it
on the
kicks off.
side there, all the
Oh,
info.
yeah, the emblem.
Not the emblem.
Oh, I don't know.
Fucking.
What
Oh
the
shit.
fucking the fucking the fuck. Maybe it was the what do you call it when it activates? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
The perk name
when it activates. Yeah,
or
that's
the
it.
buff.
Yeah, the buff.
There it is, the buff.
I want to know the name of it for this. So I'm sorry, everybody. I I thought I had it. We were doing so good. I didn't even mention how we were succeeding at the beginning, like I normally do. And okay, it's called Bayonet Locked. That was not worth it.
It's all right. Yeah, yeah. I was reserving the word bayonet for you, and then you borked it.
Okay. Well, okay. So No, actually, I still need that image, so I'm gonna put it back up.
Okay, okay. All right.
Okay. Um, and Markov chain is
Yes.
what I'm about to bring up is
Yeah.
so uh, in chat. I have no idea how to pronounce his name, so or their name, so I'm not even gonna try. Markov chain increases by 1 for every enemy kill with Monte Carlo, and it automatically shoots up to 5 with a melee kill, much like Swashbuckler or
Hmm.
Grenade Swashbuckler. And so, as you can see in this image, if you're watching, GT Finn, thank you for bringing up Markov chain. They wanted Rhino. They wanted you to bring up Markov chain. I didn't want to step
Yep.
in about it because I looked it up and I had no idea what the hell it was telling me. Um,
Yeah.
but so the
Yeah.
Monte
So I
Carlo.
mean,
Oh, do you want to say it now?
well, sure. I was just going to say what the Markov chain is, but I was going to wait for you to explain the bayonet feature.
Okay, but so this is a theory that I have about it. So right now on
Okay.
screen, they got the melee kill, they got Markov chain to 5, and then they do the alt fire button like Cerberus, like Lumina I think has an alt fire. All the guns that have alt fires, they press the alt fire and they bayonet lock the gun. And so what I'm betting is uh with this, because after you this video continues, excuse me, you can see they stab an enemy with the bayonet. It does a lot of damage, and I'm betting that the bayonet locked is tied to Markov chain, but not specifically to times 5. I'm betting it's kind of like in Izanagi's honed edge, where you can hone edge 1, 2, 3, or 4 for increased damage.
Ooh.
So you can
Yeah,
get
that sounds
Markov
cool.
change 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and 5 does like pretty big damage. I forgot, someone did the math on it. They were like, it's like 20 times as strong as a melee or something like that, which
Yeah.
that's a big thing. So you get your melee kill and
Yeah.
then you get your special melee kill. So that's a theory I had about this.
Okay. Well, the Markov chain is interesting, and I mean it's got a long explanation for what it means, but the simple, I guess, uh, the easiest way to explain it is it's a way to transition one thing from another to from one thing from one state to another.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you remember when we were talking about Boolean Gemini and how you have like these Boolean type
Boolean.
of Boolean type of probabilities where it goes from A to B, A to B, A to B, or B to A, depending on which is true.
Yeah.
So A will make B true if this, or
Yeah.
B will make A true if this. Okay. Well, Markov chain is a different type of variable that has to do with how things change from one state to another.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so to basically make it relate to the world of Destiny, it's it's a fixed position. Um, it's how to predict two future states in a fixed position, and either A or B is going to happen, or whatever letter you want to describe it as,
Mm-hmm.
A, B, or C. It can be multiple variables. It's not just a A B type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a way to predict something that could happen using a mathematical equation. And what's neat about Markov chain is it creates why they call it a chain. It creates a chain of probabilities that could happen. So if A is true, then B might not be true, but C will chain off of an event. And if
Mm-hmm.
C creates another event where a probabilistic chain can happen, then E will happen, right? And so it's not necessarily in sequential order. It could happen uh, based on how the chain is made. And so what's interesting is there's like a really cool explanation for it, and it uses frogs jumping from lily pad to lily pad,
I'm
and
intrigued.
it sh yeah, and so it shows basically how uh, if it's like the pond represents the finite states in the Markov chain, and then the odds of the frog changing from lily pad to lily pad are those probabilistic equations. And
Interesting.
so if you think about it that way, um, one of the things that they use in this frog lily pad analogy is Is it's going to be sunny or is it going to be cloudy, depending on it where the frog jumps on the lily pad. And so you can determine things that are environmental factors based on how the frog reacts to its environment. Isn't that weird?
That is,
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a hard time believing that that could be accurate, though.
Well, no, it's just an analogy. It's just a way to
Oh,
kind of
okay.
show how it's just a way to show how like a mathematical problem can give you a solution to an environmental issue or an environmental problem or something that has so many probabilities that rely on math that you can't sit there and do the data on everything all at once. So
Mm-hmm.
you use this equation to come up with an idea of what could happen,
Interesting.
right? And
Yeah.
so if the frog jumps on this lily pad, it'll be cloudy today. If the frog decides not to jump, it'll be sunny. And you're basing that on how the frog reacts to its environment. If it this many days he was on this lily pad and it was always sunny on those days, and this many days it was cloudy and he was
Ah,
not on that lily pad, so that means it's going to be cloudy, right? You see what I
okay.
mean? And yeah, so it's a
Groundhog's
really
Day.
interesting
Yeah.
idea. So what you said about having a state that's locked to a Markov chain on the gun,
Mm-hmm.
if you like, my mind imagines like if the perk makes contact with the enemy and does what it does, then maybe that spins off a chain of events that leads to a chance that a greater damage might happen with the
Yeah.
next melee, or the next bullet might do more damage or something like that. Wouldn't that be weird if it was left to chance?
Well, I can't imagine. They don't want randomness in the game, right? That's why they got rid of Hawkmoon's perk.
Oh, that's true.
Holding
Yeah, the
aces.
lucky bullet thing. What was it
Yeah, there
called?
was luck in the barrel, but Hawkmoon also had Holden Aces, which gave it two more, so it had three lucky bullets.
Man,
Yeah.
I remember that was it was very rare, but you could one shot in Crucible.
You stack all three lucky bullets on one, yeah, and you just pop someone's
Mm,
head. Good times.
crazy.
I understand getting
Anyway,
mad at a randomness defeat in PvP, but I do kind of wish it was still like that because it was fun. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah,
uh
totally.
all right. So let's talk about the season that we all just experienced, Season of the Deep. What's everyone's thoughts on it?
I mean, I would like to hear what y'all's thoughts are.
I mean, if no one wants to speak first, I'll happily speak first. I propose my Monte Carlo theory, so I just wanted to give the room for anyone else.
So story wise, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree.
The activity was fun. Love the dungeon.
Hmm.
It the actual like gameplay loop was good.
Hmm.
So like overall, I feel like it was a good season.
Yeah.
It was just you start feeling that seasonal.
Yeah, fatigue.
Yeah.
You've been playing Destiny for years now, and every season there's always something more to do. So you're always playing. You never get an actual break from the game. That even when you enjoy the season, there's just like a part of you that's like, ugh, I already did this.
Let's put this down for now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. I feel very similar. I thought the story was really cool. I thought getting to meet Asa was cool. I think Sloane coming back was amazing. Sloane coming back partially taken was
Right.
amazing. Like there were
Like
so many great story beats in it that just kind of get lost in in the 3 months of another season.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head for that one.
yeah.
For me, I really probably played more Destiny lately than
Hmm.
I have all year. Just because Season of the Deep was much more accessible for me
Yeah, that's
as
true.
a
And
casual.
they've made a lot of progress in making it more just come and play, have fun,
That's
which
right.
is good, which is very good.
Yeah.
So
Like
playability, I think for me it was much more enjoyable
Hmm.
because I wasn't. I'm still locked out of certain things, but that's just because, I can't get leveled up without doing like extremely hard content, and I don't have that time.
Hmm. I get
So,
you.
but overall, I've been able to do all the, the basic chase things, and it gave me an opportunity to go back on Lightfall and grind out some of the stuff that I wasn't able to get in
Yeah.
Lightfall because at that time we had the power creep.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm still not max power level.
I
yeah,
I can't be asked.
I have
yeah,
one character at max like pinnacle cap, and then I have
Hmm.
one character who's like one item away, and I
Yeah.
just can't be bothered.
Yeah. I'm like
yeah.
1807, and it's just like
Oh
I don't
wow.
have it in
Okay.
me. So I'm there.
Well, I'm
I'm there. I'm in the pinnacle grind, and it's just I don't want to do it.
well, I'm at 1825, and
Oh,
I
you
got
have a
to
fucking
that.
artifact level.
I got to that. Yeah, the artifact, but I got to that because of the stupid, just playing. Like I even got the Flame Keeper title, and I got gills from the stupid season, whatever. Just doing
Hmm.
all the little things, just chipping away at them for
Yeah.
fun. I even played Gambit, which was mostly horrible, but
Who plays
um,
Gambit?
oh my God, that game. I mean, they need to fix it so bad.
I don't
There's
think they
so
will.
much. It's
So
sad because there's so much meat on the bones that they had for a good mode in the game, and it just like I don't know what necessarily is exactly wrong with it, but there are times when, just like I feel like the enemy team has a completely full yellow bar and mine's like down to the very
Yeah.
end, right? And then we
They
all start spamming our supers at the primeval, but instead of ours going down anymore, theirs goes to zero real fast and they win.
Yeah, I don't know the strategy for that.
It's like,
It just
what?
I I
You
feel
know?
like and I agree. I feel like with everything that Bungie has said recently, they're kind of over Gambit, trying to fix Gambit because they've done multiple things with it at this
Yeah.
point, and nothing has really stuck. No one has really, not a large enough percentage of people have been like fans of it, but I do feel like you saying that just made me think of something because I was like, what could they do? And the big thing I always used to hear like when Gambit first came out was how fun it was when people like play tested it at events or like summits and stuff, and they're like, it was so great because we all had the same weapons, so no one was like miles ahead with a better
Yeah.
build, and it's just like,
Yeah.
well, how does that work? Like from a lore perspective, right? How is Drifter being
Right.
the one going, you guys got to play fair? And
yeah,
it made me think it would be interesting if Gambit had a what the hell is it called? Like CS:GO, Valorant, those games where you
Locked
have like,
loadouts.
well, not locked loadouts. You like buy the weapons that you're gonna use in the match.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that. If
I've
like
been
Gambit
saying,
had its own little thing where Drifter's like, you all get the same weapons, unless
yeah.
you
I've
can
been
get a better
saying that for
weapon, you know?
years. In D1, way back when Trials first started, back in D1, I used to clamor for a mode that just had these are the guns you can use in the mode only, and you had to buy them from whatever vendor of that mode was, and then
Hmm.
you get to pick all of these different weapons, but they all have lock stats, loadouts, whatever,
Hmm.
and then you can bring your super in, but it wouldn't have any like back then we didn't have mods and all these
Yeah.
things that were added onto our supers. We just had the super, and you could pick like one or two things.
We are deep
Um,
in power creep.
and
yeah,
the easiest way that they could actually implement that would be, for one thing, to implement adept Gambit weapons.
Mm.
So like trust adept. And then another being, when you use a Gambit weapon, you have a higher chance of getting a an adept Gambit weapon as a reward.
oh
Like
yeah,
that would be the easiest way they could do that. Because
like to
So,
then they
dangle the carrot.
Mother Codfish in chat said the more envoys you kill slash participate in killing, the more damage you do. And so I know that it's like wave one, you kill the three envoys or however many it is, and then wave two, you
Yeah,
kill them again, and wave three, you kill them again, and you're getting the primeval Slayer stack. But they're kind of making it sound like if all the team participates in killing all the envoys, they'll get more. Does that sound right to either of you?
Hmm.
It's been a
I
couple
don't.
years since I played
Yeah, I don't
Gambit, so
think.
I have no clue.
I think I'm just misunderstanding them, and that's not the case. But I do know that's how it works. It's just when I play Gambit, it's like, all right, wave one, let's get the first chunk down, and you do this like good little chunk, and then wave two, you do a little more chunk, and then the enemy team comes in and they're like full yellow bar, and then you blink and the yellow bar is gone, and it's like, how did they do that? Were they just not attacking the Primeval at all? They were just like getting Primeval 8, Primeval
Yeah,
Slayer 8
exactly.
or
Possibly.
something.
And then there's like clutch moments, where it'll happen for you. You'll just be
Yeah.
like, we were doing absolutely horrible, and then
Everyone
all of a
just
sudden we
nailed it.
won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think the Gambit as a mode just has too many variables that determine um what can happen at the very final critical moments. And the catch up mechanic makes it good but also makes it horrible.
Yeah. No,
So who knows?
Right, and that's all based off perspective, which end you're on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Like anyway.
well, so then to try to bring it back to the seasonal lore of it all. So at the beginning of the season, when Drifter, speaking of Gambit, when Drifter saw Sloane be partially taken, he seemed to think that he at least to me, he kind of gave me the impression that he knew a way to remove the taken blight from Sloane. And
Yeah.
it was a debate that was had and with me. I was for the idea that it's possible to do so, because we did that with Sadia and
Shirochi and
Shirachi
Kali.
and Callie. Or was it Sadia?
Yeah, Cydia.
Okay, she's from the strike.
Yes. And then the other two are from the Last Wish raid.
Yeah. And then I thought we were also doing that in Season of the Risen. I think it was Season of the Risen, where we were going into the ley lines, and apparently
Season of
we
the
were
Lost.
Season of the Lost. Thank you. Apparently we were just killing them in Season of the Lost. That's and
Yeah,
that
it's weird how the answer to taking away someone's takenness is just spam bullets at them.
Yeah, it was like a special scenario that with Shuro, Sadia, and Kelly, it wasn't that we spammed bullets at them. It's that we used our strength to wish for them to be cleansed of the taken blight, illustrated through spamming bullets at them. And that's why in
Yeah.
Season of the Lost, all we were doing was killing them. But I mean, we were lining up Techians to form the circle, and I don't really recall how that argument ended.
Yeah, the seance never really happened, but the funny thing was is that each and I remember the one of the game people over at Destiny, one of the people over at Bungie said this on Twitter, and they basically said, "You remember when we were getting the little weapons that were based on that part of the game?
Hmm.
So each one of the Techians represented one of the weapons you got, which I thought was a neat little idea. They didn't
That's
represent the
cool.
weapon, but you got a weapon when each one of the Techians was saved, air quotes.
Yeah. Yeah, because actually no, that's what it was. It was that we weren't killing the Techians, we were saving the Techians who were in hiding, but there was
Yeah,
the final Techian that we didn't save, we killed because they were taken. That was the
yeah.
argument.
And some kind of ley line explanation
No,
went
like
with
it
that.
was just we could only save the three because we were able to wish for it with Riven, but now Riven's gone, so we can't wish for it anymore. So in the
Uh,
case of Sloane being partially taken, I guess it's kind of like not Panoptes, Curia.
I'm
oh,
wondering if it's also based off of like how long of the duration of the infection that they had.
Hmm.
Because the Techians in Season of the Lost, like they could have been taken for years at that point. It's already set in. But
Mm,
the taken infection in Forsaken, Sadia, Shurichi, Kali, that wasn't as long as the others.
oh,
let's.
that's a good point.
It still would have been what would that
It
be?
still would have
Four
been like,
years.
yeah, like
Taken
two or
King, Rise of Iron, Red War.
So
So yeah,
3 years.
4 years, because that would be the fourth year.
Yeah.
And then so Season of the Lost, that was
An additional 2 years,
was
I
that
want to
was
say.
that Witch Queen or Beyond Light? That was Beyond
It
Light.
was before Witch Queen, so
Yeah,
Beyond
so
Light.
then that would be another so then Forsaken, Shadowkeep, Beyond Light. That was 7 years.
So double the time,
Yeah,
or
pretty
just
much double the
about.
time. And so yeah, so Mother Codfish asks, can Sloane be fully cleansed? And that's kind of the question. Sloane isn't fully taken. Can you repeal not being fully taken, or is it just something that she has to deal with now? In my opinion, Drifter gave me the impression that he knew how to reverse the effects.
Right. Well, okay, so there's the other thing too, is we've been using the artifact, which has the taken energy that
Mm-hmm.
allows us to survive the pressures of the deep so that we can go up against the take. So, I mean, just in that and of itself, Drifter has the ability to suppress takenness. So maybe he'll just figure out some kind of apparatus that she can bolt to her belly or something, and then it'll take it away. And as
That'd
long
be
as she
yeah.
has it, it'll just go away, or the effects of it will go away. Because I know he stopped it, or somebody stopped it. Was it Asa that stopped it?
Well, so it was Asa, and that was going to be my next question for the two of you. It felt like Asa required the Taken connection with Sloane to mentally
Oh,
communicate.
yeah,
And did you
okay.
get suspicious vibes from Asa throughout the season at any point where you just kind of like, wait a second, like,
Early
A
on, I
bit.
did. Yeah, early on, I did, but now not so much. Not after the lore.
I mean, what
I mean, I
specifically
guess
made you?
it could still be a trick, but like I feel like at this point that kind of a volley up would just be too on the nose.
But so let me ask you this. At the end of the season, we had two major events. The first major event was the truth about the witness and how the witness came to be, which somehow Asa was
Yeah,
able to witness, which is odd in itself. And I'll come back to that.
yeah.
And the second event was Asa telling us that we need to communicate with Savathun to learn how to follow the witness through the portal. And so those two things together, it's kind of weird. Like Asa's a Leviathan. Asa's another species. How did
Yeah.
Asa get to Titan? Why is Asa only now communicating? Why has Asa made no other efforts? Why is it only when Sloane was taken that Asa could communicate?
Well, so first off, Asa found Titan because she sensed the light from across the galaxy or whatever, and knew that that was the direction to start heading when she was fleeing the witness's influence, as we learned in the lore. So in the
Mm-hmm.
lore about her, it explains how she was like, "Oh, I'm not going to be a crazy worm species. I reject your logic, but the only way
Mm-hmm.
to get away, because everybody's trying to get me, is to escape this writhing mass of worms," which she did, and they were
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep her.
Yeah.
And she wiggled her way away from that writhing mass of worms, as they so descriptively put in the lore for some reason, and she fled.
Well, you don't like
She said,
writhing
"See you later."
masses?
Well, I mean, it was just kind of a weird detail to put in there that all these worms were happening, and it was just kind of like it made my mind think like, "Holy crap, dude! This whole witness
Mm-hmm.
darkness thing with the worms, they're everywhere. They're not just the hive. Like that
Yeah,
whole thing could have gone out way further, because we know that I'm spinning off as we do in the show, but
of
we know
course.
that the hive, we know that the worms were split up at times. We know that they were cut up in pieces in certain places, and then they just kind
They
of
were
wiggled away.
calcified.
Like, yeah, and they were wiggled away, and then they just kind of like roamed around the galaxy and found hosts,
Okay.
which is freaky to me. But
But
anyway,
Well,
back
but
to Asa.
yeah,
She sensed the light and ran over here
can I
and
say
crash
why
landed
that
on Titan
does not dissuade me from being suspicious of Asa?
because of the influence of the witness.
all that shows me is that Asa feared the witness. But Asa
Yeah.
didn't say, "Hey, go be buddy buddy with the witness." She said, "Hey, go be buddy buddy with Savathun, who is also an enemy of the witness."
So do you
So,
think she detected the love in Savathun when she says love?
what do you mean by that?
Because that was the thing that she said she felt was love. And so that's what hauled
Oh,
her all the way across the galaxy.
what was it that the Hive said about love?
Uh-huh.
This
That's
love
an
is
interesting
war,
detail. Yeah.
love is death, or something like that.
I
Yeah,
mean,
this
they love
love is
everything.
war. That was the title of verse 4-5. This love is war from the Books of Sorrow.
Hmm. It's creepy.
Oryx, my
Hive lore
brother,
is
loves
creepy.
me, and this love is war. And so Asa, I wonder, Asa was swimming in the fucking ocean that Oryx's body fell into.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like how much of that did she pick up while she was down
Yeah.
there? Because she had to hide. She had to hide. We know from the lore,
Yeah.
but like how hidden can you be even with we know that even with Oryx being dead, his
hmm
his bones and his matter still has, whatever was in it to
I
kind of
mean,
like,
Some of that taken energy.
Asa
yeah,
could have just witnessed the events, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm not fully against Asa. I'm not like she's absolutely someone that shouldn't be trusted, but I'm like not just letting full trust with her.
yeah.
Because what I'm kind of thinking is, so Asa flees the witness, flees the writhing worm, senses the light, crashes onto Titan. For some reason, she's able to fly through space, but now that she's here, she can only be on Titan. Sure,
She like, yeah, some
I
It's
weird
fine.
like
It's
wrote
fine,
a
right?
wrote a current or wave.
She picks
I
the
had
one
always
planet.
figured
Oh, gone.
I had always figured that she portaled instead of like flying through space.
Okay, well, even then, well,
Yeah.
maybe, but she picks the
Technically she
one
wrote
planet.
technically she wrote a galactic current is it,
Is
the
that
way
not
that my
flying
mind
through
went.
space?
Yeah, but like there was like some kind of a way that she was able to get here like faster than normal.
But in any case, she picks the one planet, it's a moon, planet that we go to that was not touched by the traveler. And that's where she sets up
Hmm.
shop.
And in fact, it was touched by the witness's fleet instead.
Yep.
Like,
And so that's what I
Yeah.
think. She
Yeah.
had a front row seat to watching Savathun say, "Fuck you, witness." And she's like, I gotta get on that side because that's the winning
Well,
side.
well, don't forget, like she's been there a lot longer. She's been there since, the golden age.
Well, yeah, sure. Oh, so she saw humanity get fucking destroyed by the witness, and then she sees Savathun pull the wool over witness's eyes, and is like, okay, I know who I'm
Yeah,
siding with. I'm siding with the one that will win, and that's Savathun.
maybe.
And then at the end of the season, this whole thing, Sloane needed to be taken to communicate with Asa for whatever reason, because and Asa somehow understands the origins of the witness, like as if they were there. Savathun's the one that would know that shit, right? So Savathun tells Asa, Asa tells us, then Asa tells us. Now that you know the origins, go free Savathun. Get her back here.
and and see, I'm wondering if it was actually like she pulled the origins from the witness because of some kind of psychic
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
thing.
yeah.
something that
That
Savathun has clearly been able to do as she had done with Crow, which is apparently a power of darkness. The memory is of darkness, apparently.
you mean the veil?
Well, memory itself, which the veil
Well,
also
well, yeah, because
exists.
memory is tied to the darkness.
Yeah.
Well, like they said at the very end of the veil containment, that the light is physical, whereas darkness is
hmm
mental, spiritual,
Yeah,
whatever.
there you
And that's
go.
something that Bungie
Yeah,
has said for a while as well now.
yeah.
But so that's kind of the case I'm making. I don't fully trust Asa. I'm not fully against them either. But what it feels like is Savathun is our enemy and has a shared enemy in the Witness. Asa is not our enemy, but has a shared ally in Savathun, as well as an enemy in the Witness. So it's like this complicated chart of like we don't want to work with her, but we will work with her, and she will work with her, and we all want it gone.
It's like a weird hate
Yeah.
triangle.
Yeah, let me.
I mean, it's
My
not a
notes.
Yeah.
love triangle, so you got to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's funny. I mean, it's very interesting. At the very least, it's interesting because as a whole, you know, the darkness and the light saga just not being inherently good or bad, and then we have to throw in this whole like, well, what side of the fence are you going to be on when you know, the witness wants to mantle the responsibility as the winnower and then take on the power of the darkness. And then the gardener, which is just fragmented out all over as guardians, you know, with their ghosts. And then there's this kind of like clash of titans about to happen. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, the two entities that are fighting one another aren't inherently like
Good or
like
evil.
I just don't see like they don't really end up succeeding. Like it just is a merger at the end of it all,
so
some way.
for anyone watching, I drew this little diagram here.
Oh no.
It's reversed on camera. So we'll work with Asa, and Asa will work with Savathun, but everyone hates the Witness.
There you go.
Just that illustrates my thoughts.
Uh, that's funny. Good old witness. Get out of here.
And that's what I mean. I feel like this was a really good season when it came to the lore. I feel like there were so many cool things that happened, but maybe because it got spread out, maybe just because of my fatigue. I don't know exactly what it is, but it feels like there's a lot that gets kind of like lost in
No,
the 3
you're
months.
absolutely right. And I
Yeah.
think you're speaking I think you're speaking the statements that I've heard echoed across the entire community. Everybody has, it's that time of the year. Also, there's tons of other games that came out at this particular moment, which are really playable and like
Yeah.
demand a lot of attention. And so, can you devote all your time to Destiny still while all these other awesome things are around you? You
Yeah.
know? And
I've heard.
unfortunately, yeah.
No.
Unfortunately, the coolest things that have happened in Destiny thus far since Lightfall have all been story and lore, and I feel like that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing that there's so much good stuff in there. The bad thing is it's not really apparent to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Even dyed-in-the-wool lore scholars that deep, you know, go deep with this stuff have missed critical moments. Like I even have, you know, you
Yeah.
have. I mean, we've found stuff where just like, what? Wait, oh God, you know, holy crap, that's what they meant.
I
You
have
know,
not
I
missed
mean,
anything.
I will say this: the Inspiral lore
Nothing
book
goes over
was
your head. You would
the
simply catch it.
Inspiral lore book was definitely the best thing that we got so far.
That was amazing. That was such a great book. We had 2 episodes for that, where usually
Yeah,
we don't actually like read the entries. We just kind of summarize them and talk about them. In Spiral, I was looking through it. I was like, we're reading this. We're reading this word for word, and then we're explaining our thoughts on it. We broke it up into 2. It was 2
yeah.
fantastic episodes. That was such a good book.
Yeah, even looking back on it now, you know, with how everything was a something data fragment, you know, like everything
Yeah,
had like its own little,
yeah.
even looking back on it now and how what we've learned, just correlating it with how memories are tied to the darkness and then physical manifestations are tied to the light and how that specific verbiage they used to title each entry was really kind of interesting and each entry that had that little sentence at the top was related to one of the enemies or one of
Hmm.
the characters that they were talking about. And it was just interesting because up until that point, all we had ever really heard about were calcified fragments or
Hmm.
Yeah.
dead ghosts, or ghost
I miss
fragments,
that though.
stuff like
I
that.
miss this like little like data fragment, like whatever it may
Yeah,
be, a calcified fragment, a dead ghost, a literal data fragment created by like Vex. I miss that like feeling of
chase. Yeah,
finding this item that like how in Forsaken we had dead drones for Crow's lore book, we had Ahamkara
yeah.
bones, we had corrupted
We
Yeah.
even had
eggs. We
feathers.
had
We had
so
feathers
many
to go
things.
find. Yeah,
Yeah, there
yeah.
was just so many things that like made it like more like physical. Like even if it was in game, it felt physical to be like, what did I find? Not
What did I
I did the
uncover?
mission and
Yeah,
I got the lore book,
yeah.
correct?
Remember that
Yeah.
one ghost fragment you had to get by walking backwards through the light tunnel and the Crota's in
Oh my
raid
God. Yeah.
Yes.
across the bridge?
That
Like,
was so
how did
good.
somebody
Yeah.
find that shit, dude?
You had to go everywhere for those
Oh
things.
my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember I think it was House of Wolves when we got a that Warmind strike, Saber 2. You were able to glitch into the tunnel system, the rocky tunnel system, just before the actual bunker itself. And it
yeah.
was like the week before it came out, and I was like, there's something in here. There's something in here. And then someone on Twitter found the ghost fragment before me, and I was like, it could have been me. It could have been me.
Oh, and see, I remember glitching out of the map in order to find the Tanic strike.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a cool one. And then that cool sparrow that happened if you made it in time to the Taken version of that one strike, and you could get the
Yeah.
cool sparrow at the end that had the lights on it that we hadn't seen until. But yeah, I mean,
I
It,
don't
it
know
was the
stuff
Black
this.
like
Spindle
that.
mission.
Huh.
Yeah, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Black Spindle mission, and the Taken Sparrow, and I think Taken Ship
Yeah,
were
you got to
rare
take and
drops
ship
in those.
from the Black Spindle mission.
Yeah, I think there were rare drops from it.
Yeah. Well,
Well, it's funny is my wife, even when we're playing other games together, every now and then she'll just be wandering off looking in like a corner or something. She'll joke with me and be like, "I found a dead ghost." She
that's
does it all
great.
the time. We'll just be playing and she'll be like, "I found a dead ghost,"
And Siva
messing with me.
fragments. That was another one.
Oh yeah, that was a
Oh
cool one
man,
too.
that was a
That
cool
was a
one.
cool one because the story that was attached to that one was
Yeah.
so like, what?
Yeah.
I did that raid day one blind with an old fire team of mine, and I to this day I stand by, if we did not spend all our time looking for Siva fragments, we could have world first it. We had every encounter just like got it. Let's go. And
Yeah.
we spent like 2 hours just like, what's over here? Nothing. Are you sure? Let me check as well.
It's funny. It's funny that we in like instinctively any kind of new level game, whatever, we instinctively start looking around in corners and jumping on cliffs and like all that. But then Bungie every now and then will put something like right in the front of you. Like
Yeah. What is
you'll be
this?
playing the Saber Strike and then right there by a chest, there's a dead ghost fragment.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, it was right there, and I'm looking everywhere else.
So
Well, and Bungie understands that. Like they've trained us to go hunt in like the random places, and then all of a sudden
Uh-huh.
they'll flip the script, and they know it throws us off.
Yeah. I guess the last thing we really got was in the 30th anniversary stuff to go look around, like when we found Master Chief's cryopod. You had
Yeah.
to go find that. And it's like such a touchy little rock that you have to like stand perfectly beside to get to
Hmm.
activate the door. Yeah.
well, so I have another theory, and this one would go for a year from now, post final shape launch. That I'm not sure if I said on this show, and I definitely want to get it in this episode, so I'll say it quick.
Okay.
So last year in Witch Queen, we got, instead of following the order, it feels safe to say without leaks that Crota's End is probably the raid that we're gonna get. If it was Wrath of the Machine, they would have said it's Wrath of the Machine. They have not said it's
Yeah.
Wrath of the Machine. It's probably Crota's End, which is a little weird because if they wanted to do Crota's End, they could have done Crota's End and then done the Taken King. or King's Fall to like go Vault of Glass, Crota's End, King's Fall. So there
Right.
wouldn't even be this like Wrath of the Machine
Although
insurgents.
although Crota's End requires the most redo.
Yeah, it
Um,
might. That's fair to say. But what ended up happening was we got King's Fall, and then that was in season 2, season 3. Yeah, season 3 of
Sure.
Witch Queen was King's Fall. And then season 4 of Witch Queen, we got our second dungeon, which was the tower. I forgot what that one was called. Spire of the Watcher.
Spire. Yep.
So then season 1 of Lightfall, we got our new raid. Season 2 of Lightfall, we got the new dungeon, which featured season 3 Oryx's body in the Titan Oceans. So it's like
Yeah.
they put this raid here, and they were like, even though the raid, it's a legend, it happened in the past, we're gonna like use it to like refresh people's mind of who is Oryx, what happened to Oryx. Look
Right.
at Oryx's body, and then we
Right.
get Ghosts of the Deep Dungeon. So next season, to assume that we do get Crota's End, we have Crota come back. So that makes me think, what's going to happen in season 2 of Final Shape when they said that the Light and Dark saga is finished with the Final Shape, and the seasons after it will not be like continuation story. It's going to be like the next section. And so
Yeah.
I'm betting that what will happen is with Crota's End, we will get lore entries of some form, either on weapons, on armor, or something like that, that will be from Toland the Shatter's perspective of how he heard here comes some young fire team that need him to help them with the hive, and go in there into the Hellmouth and find Crota, and he's like, yeah, I'll do that. I'm gonna get you all killed, but I'll
Yeah.
do that. It'll benefit me. I don't care about you. It'll benefit
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
then post Final Shape, when there's a new power vacuum because the Witness has been defeated. Well, here comes Toland.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea. I
In a
wonder.
season 2 dungeon.
I mean, just to back up on what you were saying, like we got the Oryx refresher.
Mm-hmm.
What was cool about the Oryx refresher and how he ended up in the depths of Titan was I put it on Twitter too, but it's neat because his body drifted down to the bottom and it's just kind of like laying there. But it represents like a whale fall. And if you've ever heard of the whale fall, it's like when a whale dies in the ocean, its carcass falls to the bottom of the ocean, and then it becomes this huge, like, flora of life that
Mm-hmm.
happens based on, all that. And then so whale falls are really crucial to the environment of the sea because it gives new birth to all kinds of organisms, life, worms, crabs, fish, blah, 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 sharks, all that. Anyway, we've been down there picking off the bones of Oryx's carcass that represents this whale fall. And in fact, we even got a gun called the Navigator, which is named after the first navigator, which is what Oryx was called when he went and, on his pursuit for knowledge, IOT. And it's a gun that is aesthetically to look like a killer whale. So
Hmm.
it's just funny that Bungie loves to play with these dynamics in game and how we're just picking off of those little things. And what is the Guardians' biggest folly is this constant pursuit for um, weapons and,
Mm-hmm.
materialistic type of things that make us better with the light and all that. So that's ultimately been our undoing is this constant need for better, 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 more, more, more,
Yeah.
weapon, weapon, weapon. Even in the lore, it's like, how do you get a Guardian to do something? Well, you dangle a freaking piece of armor in front of their face. And
Mm.
so that's interesting. So there's that. But then, like you said, Bungie told us early on, they said when we do a reprisal next, we want or like Crota as a reprisal would have been really great for us because there was a lot of opportunity to basically take a raid that a lot of people had disdain for because they thought it was too easy or whatever,
Hmm.
or didn't have enough fun factor built in, hardness, whatever. And then they can reprise it in a way that makes it new, refresh it, yada yada. And so
Yeah.
I think that part of the reason why it's taken so long and why it didn't show up first before Taken King was they really wanted to make it a new experience, one they hadn't had before. They've never done this before. They've never reprised a raid and made it different. And so, like you pointed out, who's in the raid or who are the characters right now that could be somehow tied to a reprisal of Crota? Well, there's Tolan. There's also, you know, uh, I've Got a War, and then there's some other extraneous characters that are still running around that have been takenified, trying to, you know, take all that. And then of course the witnesses influences everywhere. But he's tied up in the moment with the traveler. So if they reprise Crota and bring it back, it could very much be new lore, new stuff. And maybe it has ties to the whole takenification of things. If that's even a word, you know, and maybe it has something to do with some back channel memory fragment that shows that Tolan was ultimately duped and led down this road that was our undoing from the get go, you know? And maybe Savathun had something to do with that because we know the moon was a war moon or a potential war moon at one time. So there's a lot to unpack.
I used to say that back in D1,
Yeah,
that our moon was a war
yeah,
moon. I got a lot of shit for that.
As as
People weren't happy.
yeah.
as much as I would love for there to be an actual like lore connection to us going back to Crota's End.
Well, I mean, I don't think there has to be to go back, but it's like
Well,
what what do we get for going back and having this refresher?
right. I personally think that the next raid is going to be Leviathan.
Really?
Ooh,
They already redid all of the assets for Season of the Haunted.
Yeah, but
yeah.
exactly. They redid it. They're not a
So like,
reprised raid is not a raid again. It's a raid again in the past.
well, yeah, but Leviathan got taken out of the game.
Yeah, but if it got taken out to get updated assets, so then they would undo their updated assets, right?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I I just think they've already done a lot of work on it, and from a business sense, it makes sense to just reintroduce that one because it would take the least amount of work.
Yeah.
Well, and and they could probably just, throw egregore all over the place and put some more, spin on it, and then
Absolutely.
let you, let you go to the other places that we were locked out of, and that would be the continuation of a new lore experience. I mean, a new raid experience, I guess.
But and that's what I
But they
mean.
would totally have to do. They would
That
have
would
to
go
do
back on
everything
what they
different,
said of what a reprised raid was meant to stand for.
right? So
We
then,
didn't. We
so then they
weren't
would.
Guardians today going back to Vault of Glass. We weren't Guardians today going back to King's Fall. We were Guardians
Right?
then going to, and then
Yeah.
we can only assume that would follow suit. I mean, if
Except
they
that
want to
like
change it, that's fine. I'm for whatever changes they think would be more interesting. It's just that would be a change. Is all I'm saying.
oh yeah. And like they've updated all the different raids and mechanics, and
Hmm.
so like it's not the same as, it was back when it first released.
That's fair.
True. I don't know. I mean, there's so much they could do. There's so many potentials
Yeah.
that like what could happen next. Um,
There's a ton of potential, and Callus played a big role last season,
yeah.
in the actual expansion.
I think as of right now, like the immediate future, anything to do with Callus, I think is just like going to be on deaf ears. But I think going to what they've been setting up in Lightfall, which a lot of people aren't aware, which is funny because there's a lot of stuff in the Lightfall campaign. Obviously, the veil containment that people love to smash, that the fact it went in front and center in front of your face and Why is all this awesomeness not right here where we can just push a button and listen to it? Well, I have a feeling that part of that was intentional. One part because writers, as of until now, haven't really had enough insulation from us to be able to just like find everything that's about to happen and just share it with the world, data miners and stuff like that. And that was one of the things that they were able to use as a tool to kind of uh, keep the story nice and doled out the way it should have been within the experience in the game. That's one side of it. The other side is Bungie loves to hide stuff. And so that was really funny to me because Veil Containment was just sitting there. And if you weren't playing, you weren't seeing it. And then, like, 5 weeks into it, people are like, holy crap, this is an actual thing that keeps going. Here we are. Uh, but so that makes me go and dissect all the little Lightfall lore that went unheard of or unlooked at. And when I went back and looked at it all, I started getting a little bit of a clearer picture as to what they're setting up. It feels like, because we have the veil, it feels like how memories are tied to the veil and how the veil is kind of like this physical representation of the incomprehensible shape of the universe, and it stores all of the memories and blah, blah, blah. So, that being said, the veil is part of what's going on right now. It's even manifested in our new ability that we have, and even certain weapons are using it. But what's more important than that is some of the little key things that they're saying, like the fact that the witness was able to, you know, gain access inside or another place of the traveler, whatever you want to call it. The pink triangle floating in front of the traveler is the gateway for him to be where he is, right? That's still a mystery. Uh, but some words come up like Einstein Rosen bridge, that popped back up, which we first heard that in Warmind. What is an Einstein Rosen bridge? And, that's basically a parallel universe, basically time, the fabric of time and space folded upon itself, creating a wormhole tunnel that allows you to go to somewhere else, some other time, whatever it be. So it makes me wonder, and we get into reprisals and raids, and we get into timelines, and we get into like Vault of Glass happened back then. It's not happening right now. What if? What if they're going to be like a little bit of an explanation as to how we are able to access memories from a different time and parallel us's or parallel guardians running on a timeline from another timeline? Like, we know the stranger can, you know, go back and forth through different timelines and pick the one that works to get to us, to help us get to a future that's going to be successful. So we know that there's an ability.
Not willingly.
Yeah.
No, but like that, not willingly, just like you said, not willingly.
Well, I don't think it was
So
that she could actually even go back and forth. It was just that she gets reset. Right?
Yeah,
yeah,
she's
because there's a
Groundhog
failed
Day.
time. There's
Yeah.
failed timelines.
Yeah, of course there's failed timelines and the perception of Anna died.
Yeah. And so, do you remember when we were talking about this a while back and how I said maybe our soul system is a pocketed
Mm-hmm.
universe where the chances for success is most prevalent, and everything outside of that were failed timelines? What if they're going to try to explain how we're able to dip and dive, and maybe our abilities and maybe our light and all of these things that are physical manifestations are being pulled from those failed timelines? That's scary to me,
Hmm.
but also it's a really cool idea to play with. And if we're gonna say that the light saga needs to come to an end, what would be the beginning of the next saga?
Mm-hmm.
And so my mind goes to this idea that, here we are, we're not necessarily on rails anymore. Here we are in this like limitless possibility for a future where we can use dark and light together and, you know, ultimately escape our extinction, yada, yada. I don't know. What do you think?
It's a
I
good
don't quite
theory.
know. It's
It's
something that I have to sit with.
Yeah.
yeah.
So the only reason why I bring it up is because as of late, how the lore has been doled out to us and how Lightfall brought us the lore, all of these little murmurs that they've been putting into the story and in the lore seem to be kind of like seeds for the future, like they did with us in the past. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm wondering if some of these seeds that they're planting wouldn't have something to do with something like that in the future, uh, to kind of give us a little bit more fleshed out explanation as to why we're even here in the first place, or why the collapse happened in the first place. And
Yeah.
then there's going to be some revelatory thing that happens at the end. And you know, that's why I say it would be too on the nose to just say, oh, it was just a trick, or oh, the darkness just, came in and we pushed it back and it's going to reset everything again. It just, I don't think people like people are fatigued at this point. It's been freaking 10 years. We got to have
Yeah.
Yeah.
something tied up in a nice, pretty bow, and anything less than something just crazy isn't going to be acceptable.
And that's a complaint I have with people, just in a general sense. A friend of mine read a story, and I recently read it too, and it just finished, and he was like, it just kind of finished, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, what do you mean? Of course it did. It's like, was there like a big epic battle where the good guy beat the bad guy? It's like, yeah. And I was like, and then it was over because he beat the bad guy. It's like, yeah, and that sucked. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, either it goes on
Yeah,
forever and it sucks,
yeah.
or it just ends and it sucks. And I was like, it was great. It was great. The good guy had a happy ending. He got to go make cream puffs and live with his family, and the bad guy went to jail. It was like, it was everything I could ask for.
This is crazy.
Oh man, I want some cream puffs now.
I know, right?
So,
Interesting.
Ellimist, do you have any predictions for next season or even potentially Lightfall?
Uh, First off, I just want to get this out of the way. I'm gonna be sad if they don't name the Season of the Witch.
I
Like, I
agree.
don't think they can. I don't think they can do it legally, but like,
Oh wait, yeah,
I
you're right.
Yeah.
right.
No, no, they
I
they
don't know if
definitely
they
can
can.
because it's different. It's different. Everything's a season of.
Oh, I get that, but like, I can understand
Maybe
if
they'll
they
just buy the
legally
rights.
can't. But right off the bat, either I think Savathun is gonna pull some trickery fuckery where she ends up getting out of our custody,
Mhm.
or she's gonna end up being our vendor, and I'm gonna hate that.
That'd be so odd.
I'm
I
gonna
feel
hate that so much.
Uh, yeah.
As for
Make
story, like I don't. I've been kind of reserving myself on that. I haven't been doing many predictions or anything. Um, I could see there being a sibling war between Savathun and Zivu,
Mhm.
and we just get caught in the middle.
Yeah,
Savathun
that's
uses us
interesting.
as a tool.
I have good news for you.
Hmm.
I tried to quickly look up if there's like any known copyright law about Season of the Witch, and so 1982 Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which is what I go to when I hear Season of the Witch. Season of the Witch: Enchantment, Terror, and Deliverance in the City of Love, a book by David Talbot. Season of the Witch 1973 film, Season of the Witch song by Lana Del Rey, Season of the Witch 2011 film. Bungie wouldn't be the first, second, third, or even fourth to have something called Season of the Witch. They're fine. They should
That's
do it.
true.
So,
They
like I
got to
said,
do
I'm
it.
gonna be sad if they don't.
Yeah, no, it is all over Season of the Witch. Like that is not owned by anyone. It's
So
the
yeah,
people's
Interesting.
season.
I'm gonna be sad if they don't name it Season of the Witch.
Yeah. I
They'll
mean, I
just
was I
not
was
name
kind
it that
of
now.
yeah. I was like, until a week ago, I wasn't even sure that we were actually going to be doing the Savathun storyline. I was like, I think that's going to be like season 4 type of thing. But they showed that preview with Ikora like hanging out with Maru.
Yeah.
And I was like, all
Yeah.
right, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't spoil anything. The story's still going to happen, but it's like, okay, that's the topic. All right, then.
Well, what are some things that we know? Like the fact that they said that Savathun's not going to be as big as we think. Like it's just going to be.
Exactly.
But yeah. So there's going to be something she's probably going to say. She's probably going to do some things, and then we're going to have to use it to, go on to fight Zivu, I'm assuming. But
Well, because
so
in the teaser for the next season, was that the teaser for the next season or teaser for Final Shape? I hate that they do this.
I think it was for Final Shape.
Okay, so you already knew what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the teaser for Final Shape. Carry on right now. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, that's right. I was just saying, like, so we know there's going to be like a little. We got to deal with her for a minute, and then use whatever we learned from her to go on to fight the ultimate immediate baddie at that time. We got to use Imaru to get to Savathun, and then Savathun's going to tell us something, and then I don't know, maybe die. I don't know, who knows? Or maybe we'll stick her back in another, uh, crystal.
Ooh.
What could possibly happen?
What if the very last mission of the season is us fighting Savathun to try and kill her again so that she's not an issue later on?
Oh man. Oh.
I just feel like we can't I feel like we can't give away Savathun without saying and we hold on to Amaru, kind of like
Yeah.
what's her name? Fire the Warlock. Honor. How she goes around like she'll pop the Guardian but then capture the ghost. She won't kill the ghost, but she will like you're not allowed to resurrect them.
Imprison
That's
the
right.
ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So
a
imprison the
showcase
ghost
teaser.
Oh.
So the showcase teaser shows several ships, including our Guardian, flying into the Magenta portal on the Traveler. And the showcase is the Final Shape showcase. It's not the season 20. It's not the season 3 showcase. So I do think we will not go into the portal until Final Shape.
Yeah.
So then, with that in mind, I don't even know if we'll actually resurrect Savathun this season. I think we might just try to like work it out with Amaru, like kind of without Savathun's direct involvement.
Yeah.
I think it's
That's
gonna end up.
interesting.
I think it's gonna end up being like we talked to Imaru. Imaru's like, no, go res her. Allow me to revive her. And in order for us to learn the secret of how to get through the Trevusi,
Unnecessary.
in order for us to get through there, she's gonna require us to fight Zivu.
Okay. So then season 4 dungeon is Zivu.
So then season 4 is gonna end up being like us preparing for it or something. Like I
feel like we need to take out Zivu before we take out the Witness.
I agree.
And so if
Yeah,
we take out the
definitely.
Witness in Final Shape, season 4 needs to be take out Zivu, not prepare for take out Zivu.
Either that
Unless Zivu's
or,
in the raid, that'd be pretty sweet.
or Zivu's in the campaign.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I'd be happy with either of those.
If Zivu is in the campaign, or if she's in the raid, like War Priest for King's Fall.
How about
I'm
how about
happy with that.
both? How about they just double
Also,
down
yes.
on both,
Yeah, so yes.
and then she could just end up going to Crota's throne world to try to take it over.
So okay, if
I don't know.
Zivu's in the raid, if Zivu's in the campaign and we defeat her, then she goes back to her throne, and someone needs to describe war to bring her out of her throne. Who describes war to resurrect Zivu from her throne? And what is that description? What war is made to bring Zivu out? I don't have, and I'm asking, just like tossing it out
that
there.
makes
Like
sense.
off the top of my head, I would think it would be us versus the Witness.
I feel like no, because
because
let me lay it out.
Yeah.
Let me lay out the timeline that I'm saying. So if we like middle to end, like the 75% point of the campaign, we defeat Xivu, right? And so it's like, all right, Xivu's down. While she's down, let's go take out the witness. And then in that like 11th hour, another entity creates war to resurrect Xivu,
Okay.
to help the witness, to be like,
Uh,
we're bringing her back. Who does it, and what do they do?
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're meaning
That's
like
interesting.
if she's actually a campaign boss, and then
Yeah.
how is she in the raid?
Yeah, how does she get, like, what act gets brought back to bring her back for the raid? Like, immediately the act that I think is a near total, obviously, decimation of the city. And maybe just for laughs, they're like, we brought the tower back. Bam. It's
And
just
it gets
destroyed
destroyed.
again.
That
Like
would be
those
so messed up.
those poor contractors have been working on it for like 7 years.
They have. It'd be
Well,
great.
okay, so
I'd be so
here's
happy.
something funny. Here's something funny is remember we got to go there briefly for one of those meditations or whatever. In
0 hour.
D2. Yeah, that was it. Man, so okay, I like where this is headed, but
Awesome.
we're also forgetting one thing. The Vex are going to play a big part.
You think?
That's what they said
Did they?
They've said
somewhere.
that Vex
I
are
haven't
gonna play
heard
a
that.
big
That's
part after
in Final Shape. In Final Shape or after Final Shape?
Before, I believe.
I've read them saying after.
I excuse me, would fully assume after.
Before, I see it being strictly just the Witness's army.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just imagine if it was Keitel.
Dude.
If
Oh,
Keitel flipped on us in the 11th hour and brought back Xivu,
Yeah. That'd be so
I-
jacked up, dude.
that'd be amazing.
I could see it more of
'Cause it's right
an
there.
ego thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we killed Xivu. No, she has to.
Yes, I love it. Oh, I love that. I hope that happens. I hope Keitel fucks her shit up. That'd be so awesome.
I
That's
would be
funny.
all right with that.
She's got a bone to pick.
Yeah. I could actually absolutely see that being the campaign. Like Keitel is like screaming at us that Xivu is hers, and then like Zavala's like take the shot, Guardian, and completely obliterates the what is it, Armistice? Completely obliterates it, and Keitel not necessarily to bring Xivu back, but in revenge for us taking her glory, attacks the city and kills Mithrax.
Well, that would just be messed up.
I would love to see that. That'd be such a fucking banger of a story.
Like, as cool as it would be, I feel like that's series finale of Game of Thrones level.
That's what the final shape kind of needs to be, though. Like I'm not that's what I mean, like, about how people are like disappointed when the story just ends. It's like, did it just end, or did it have like a big like finale of like, holy shit, this is awesome, and then after the bad guy was defeated, it just ended? And that's what I want. I want a big finale, big fireworks, but then it just ends. Like, it, you know?
And like I agree, like, something needs to be monumental story wise. The problem that I have is more of just that wouldn't completely align with Keitel's character as we've seen.
You don't think it would?
I don't.
You don't. Season of the Haunted, she refused our help in taking on Gaul.
Yeah, and then she actually accepted our help.
Yeah,
after
and
that.
But that's the thing, like with like a character development where
also,
they grow and then they fall, and you know.
Yeah. Well, also, Ellimist has a point because she's now working with Saladin, and Saladin's probably in her ear a little bit, you know, convincing her to be
very much
chill.
so.
You know, chill.
That's a very good point.
And
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the fact that Zavala and her, like, they've been considering just a marriage just for the sake of bringing, like, it would be a
Bringing-
political
bringing-
thing, but like,
yeah, bringing empires together.
right. Like, there actually was a lore entry about that.
Yeah,
I mean, but think about it like historically. There had to be an actual event, like Roman or whenever event, where two powers were considering it, and then one power offended the other, and the other just comes in.
Absolutely.
Well, sure, like the Battle of Troy and the Carthage battle, and then like Carhae, the Battle of Carhae, that happened.
Carhae's a big thing in Destiny, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I don't
They
know
like
the
to
fucking
play
words.
with stuff like that.
I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm saying I hope it happens. And
Right.
I will also say,
Yeah.
Ellimist, you might not be aware of this, but this show has predicted quite a few fucking things happening. We've got like a solid track record of
Yeah, we do.
accurate predictions. So you put that out
Okay.
there. That was all this guy right here. He was the one that said we kill Zivu and Keitel gets pissed.
There it is. That would be kind of crazy though, to do it like right
It
at the
would.
last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would.
That I don't think
know.
anyone could be upset with the story if that's what they fucking pull off. That'd
Look,
be so
maybe
amazing.
the end of the game. Maybe the end of the game is like that mob show where it just goes black, or like right before it goes
that
black.
mob
it's-
show. Oh my god.
What was the mob show? The one with I'm really bad about this, by the way. So what
That was
the show?
Sopranos, right?
Yeah, Sopranos. Thank you. So what if it's like the Sopranos and it just goes dark?
That'd be great.
Or here's one. Here's one. Right before it goes dark, it's Shaxx and he takes off his helmet.
Yeah,
Oh,
you see his chin.
Yeah,
So like the end of Halo 1.
yeah.
I mean,
Where
I've never played
You
Halo.
just see his upper from his nose to his forehead. That's all you see.
The end of Halo, or the original like CE, Master Chief goes to take off his helmet, and then the camera pans out
Yeah,
outside the ship.
yeah. It spawned a bunch of memes where like people were putting a helmet underneath the helmet.
Oh, it's funny that the game actually set that up, that like you're not allowed to see under his helmet, and then the show is like not only do you get to see under his helmet, but you get to see under everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk about this show.
Yeah, well, sorry to say.
Uh,
All right. I think that's going to be mostly it for. Does anyone have any like closing statements they want to make? Because we're coming up on our time.
No, I just want to say thanks to our guest.
Yes,
Ellimist,
thank
for
you so
showing up on the
much.
show. It's awesome, man.
This is great.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So if you want to find more of us, if you came in late, you can find us on @Loose Canon Show on Twitter, spelled exactly as it is here. We have a link tree that will bring you everywhere. Our shows get uploaded in audio and video format, pretty much everywhere. Ellimist?
You can find me on Guardians of Lore. We are a Destiny book club, and we try to meet weekly.
Same.
We're on all platforms, and on social media, we are Guardians_Lore on almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also do have a Discord server,
Awesome.
discord.gg/lorehub.
Oh, nice grab on that.
Oh yeah.
Like that's like, you know, to have the unique title and be Lore Hub. That's a fucking sweet name.
It's
My
got a
cat's
cool
always-
icon for their room too.
All right, everybody. We will be back in 2 weeks on September 3rd, and that will be 2 weeks not only after the showcase, but 2 weeks after Season of the Witch. You heard it here first. We are dropping the name. So we hope you enjoyed the show. Bye, everybody.